This conference will now be recorded.
What's a companion object? Okay. We have Scala case class examples. Okay, let's talk about this companion class object here. So when you talk about it, a companion class, the point is first thing, why do we need it? We yesterday we had a detailed discussion on that. Today I would not like to again get into that discussion as we are very good on that part. I don't think it's again necessary, but we can quickly conclude it. Like, what is it? The simple point is when your class name and singleton object name both are same, then we call them as companions. The class is called companion class, and the object is called singleton object is called companion object. That's the concept. So now the question is, why do we need companion objects? What is necessary? Maybe if you ask this question, already we had a detailed discussion about singleton objects. We know the purpose of singleton object is to, one is it has the it is the entry for execution. That is one thing. It is an entry point for execution. That is one thing. Second thing is we can also declare global variables and methods in that singleton objects. That is also one more. Those variables and methods are used throughout the application. You know that. So now you can see here now. When you talk about it, we know the reasons here. Companion object, Scala. When you look at it, so this is the official documentation. I'm going to the official documentation. Okay. And anybody has to copy from here only. Okay. So usually people always write books, textbooks, or they make anything. The content for anybody is from here. Okay, we know most of this stuff. This pizza thing, when you look at it, you can easily understand. Some class you can easily understand. This has several benefits. I want you to know what are the actual uses of this companion object, okay, and companion class. So what are those benefits here? The first thing is a companion object and a class can access each other's private members. That is one thing. See, this is one important thing here. What is it? So point one, already they were defining a couple of things here. So one thing here is so they can have access to, what is that? Private members. So usually, the standard of this this doc is little high for us. Keep in mind because they give at most little deeper examples where we need to interpret them. That is one reason. Okay. So anyhow, we'll see all this one by one. First thing, we'll analyze all this one by one. Okay, here. What are those uses of companion objects here? Anyhow, you know about all this stuff. One thing is, usually we have a clear discussion, like when you talk about private members are accessible only within that class itself. they are not allowed to access even in other classes of same file. Okay, that is the limitation. But when you look at it, when you declare a companion object and a companion class, the advantage is that both of these can have access to private members each other. So that is one thing. So point one is this. Okay, let me just add this. So what is it? They can have access to each other's private members. For example, you can take any example of your choice. Let me start my Eclipse today. I didn't start my Eclipse. I'm not sure even this is my Eclipse, but we'll just start playing. Okay. We'll just understand the first point. What is it? Point one. Anyhow, by looking at it, you can understand because you have that basics with you. All of you are pretty much good with all these fundamentals. What is that? A companion object and a class can have access to each other private members. That might be fields or methods. Okay. Maybe you can test a quick example here. From the we can just have a quick test on it. Let us use this, the concept of test here. Why it's showing error? Any idea? Both are perfectly defined. Both are having same names. Am I missing any syntax here? Showing error here. Okay. Check here. Okay, might be somewhere else I would have defined another one. Huh? This is fine. Okay, let me remove it. I don't want to waste much time. Okay. Okay, fine. No issues. Let's leave it like that. Now, first thing is this time it will class test and then just define some private members and also private methods. So the point is point one, we can have access to private members of a companion class in companion object and companion object in companion class. You can test it yourself along with me if you want. Okay, so you can make it private. You know how to do it. Just declare this as private, and you can take one private method saying something like private f1 m1 colon int. So you can define a private method. Just add something here, something like println I. Okay, so now that's it. So these are private members in test class. Now what do you do here? Now you go for creating an object for this, like add space some key equal to. Usually we create it like this, new test. So earlier, we created an object, and then now what you do? I try to access it like t dot a. Can you see this now? This a is visible here. Suppose if it is not a companion class, by now you would have seen some compilation error here, right? Will you agree or not? Yes, sir. So similarly, I can say t dot m1 here. If you see this, so these are private members. Even by creating object, we cannot access private members of a class in a singleton object or in any other class. But here, if you look at it, I'm able to access private members of this, this class test, which is a companion class in the companion object. This is possible because both are companions. Correct, right? Simple example: wife and husband. The most private thing between wife and husband is the money properties, correct, and children. If you ask me, now they can access from anywhere, right? When they belongs to when they are companions, wife can access money of husbands, and husband can access money of wife. Okay, there might be so many jokes around this wife and husband concept. I am not going into that, but for our example, these companions are like wife and husbands, and both can use each other's private properties. We don't have an issue, but this is not applicable for other classes. Only this is applicable only for companions. Okay, and similarly, you might declare some private properties in this object as well. Something like just declare some private properties here. Something like private some x colon int equal to 10, and okay, it's showing an error. Let me just see the error. Where is missing? Of course, not an issue. Where or val? Anything is fine, sir. You can put val also. So this is a private variable in a companion object. So I'm trying to access it in this class directly, the companion class. Usually, private members are not accessible outside, but here, as it is a companion, what I am trying to do, I am trying to access this private variable x of companion object in the companion class, just to test it here. So I can just directly say println of simply say test dot x here. Can you see this now? So save this and right click, then run as Scala application. Now can you see 10 is coming? X, this test.x is nothing but something from x, this 10. Okay, and the t.a is this 10. Okay, 10 might be coming for 2 times, nothing to worry. Maybe you can give this as 20 if you are getting confused. But here the point is to prove a point. The private variable of companion object, which is there here, this one x. So this one I am able to access in the companion class. The private members of this companion class test, I am able to access them in the companion object here. Yes, that is what one more advantage making it companions. The best example to remember is wife and husband here. You don't need to take any other example to remember. Okay, but that's just only for remembering. Concept is concept only. That is first thing. Hope you can test it once, all of you. I ask you to test it with me parallelly. Hope you finish testing it, right? All of you tested, sir. If you didn't test it, just take some time and quickly test it 1 or 2 minutes and finish it quickly. That is point 1. I'm giving just 1 minute, not more than that. Test it and then point of companion advantages of companion objects. Even you can take this example from the official document and you can test it, sir. There is nothing wrong in the taking from the official docs as well. And there are few, just test it, then we'll talk about all this, analyze. You can analyze yourself, sir, but that needs a lot of patience. You can only think that I can learn it only when you sit in front of a class like this. Other times, because I am also like you. Okay. Another advantage here. Okay, finish it. Others finish this, sir. We can talk about the second point here. It's a little deeper. Let us just analyze this. Another advantage of having declaring companion objects is our companion class, creating new instances without new keyword. Right? When you talk about classes, when you declare a class, and if you want to access members of a class, we can access them only by creating object in the singleton objects. Otherwise, wherever you want to access those members of that class, there we have to create object. Don't think that this is itself is a coding here. Okay, there are a lot of things in programming. We can use this classes somewhere in some other classes also. That is what the purpose of this kind of programming is. Okay, so next thing is if you declare something as a companion, the other important point, you can make a note of all this, sir. What is that? You can have you can create objects without a new keyword. You can see here, right? You can create new instances without the new keyword. Means what? If you look at this example here, I don't need to say new here. Usually for a class, I should create new, but usually we don't need to apply. 1 minute. This is does not take parameters. Test type. Let me test it once. Mhm. Okay, I'll do one thing. Mm, okay. We'll do one thing then. Let us test it from the REPL. Sometimes, little skeptical here. Mm. Usually this is applicable for case classes, but for companions, let me just test it. Don't need a method. Let me put a main here. Where sum x equal to, I put here then. Okay. Object A. Then this will become companion. Okay, then add some A equal to A dot type does not take parameters. So is there any way? Let me check it with apply then. The apply function. Remove the parameters anyhow. Internally it is calling something. That's what I'm seeing. Don't need this. It's taking parameters. Okay. Okay, the mistake is this. I got it. Test dot apply. So is there any case issue here? Okay. When you apply this, it should take it. Control. Okay. So yeah, the problem is here. Yeah, I understood the issue. We should override an apply method here. If you look at this, yes, this is correct. Perfect. Okay, instead of main, what is that you have to use here is an apply method. This apply method has a lot of significance, guys. I know I took some of your time here by trying to think like what's happening here, but I can fix this issue also. Now I can still make this work program let me check here, because usually it is easy to run from where? Run from that thing. What is that? REPL. Testing is easy in REPL. But anyhow, I'll show you there. So I take A here now. One more object. Just assuming if we can have multiple objects. Then the AF, we can override this function, same function. I'm just taking only the syntax part, not everything. I'm only just cross-checking, nothing more than that. We can do it from the Eclipse also. That is only my this thing. But we can run it quickly from the command line, that is REPL, what we call. Here you can change these things because you don't need all this. But you can make this return type as what? We can make it as just simply A here. It's not a person. You can just simply say something like A. So what you can do is you can leave it that like that. I'm only just seeing the error now. Let me check this if we can do in this way. Except I'm just thinking, can we have multiple objects? I didn't test this scenario because that is not that I didn't come across it. Even that is, you can also have quick idea. Already we have an object here, but it's not allowing. I'm thinking to have the companionship here, so I put A and this object as same. But still, what is it saying is expected class or object definition. Okay, so there might be other way of testing that here. I will find out something there. But for now, another important thing you need to understand here is so if you see here this code, you can take any other simple example, if not this one. And we have learned a couple of things here. Anyhow, that is there in the doc also. So we took a person, and you don't need you don't need to declare only variable. You can take anything of your choice. And this apply method is something which has a lot of significance. Okay, and this is really very useful in most of the scenarios in the Scala. So you have used this apply function, and then if you see here, leave out the parameter part. Okay, it might take a single parameter for initializing this variable of object here. This is a variable of instance. Instance means you can think of something related to class. And if you see here, the return type of this apply is a person here. See this carefully. Such things, if a method of a class, this is called as factory method. Why it's called factory method means if a method of a class is returning the object of itself, object of that class itself, such methods are called factory method. It is a design pattern. I told you in the last class, right? Somewhere in last before class, otherwise, while talking about singleton object, I told you it's a kind of design pattern. Understood, right? So even this is also a kind of design pattern. These are called factory methods. The factory methods anywhere in Java or in any language, what they does is they are declared inside a class or inside an object, which returns the object of that class itself. Now, as this person is a companion to this singleton object, okay, this companion object, you can see it is returning a person here. Can you see this now? So that's what happens here. Now, if you look at this code, I took a class. This, I think you can understand. Apply is something which is, one of the standard methods in Scala, which is used to implement this kind of use cases. Okay. And now we are creating object internally in this. You can see here now. And then we are setting this data and we are calling. And this is returned by and P means P is the reference of this object. Can you see? When you say P is not variable. We are returning this object as a whole itself. Got it right? Can you get this point? So the same thing, like val space P equal to, we can also say something like person of something like hello, just for testing purpose we are doing it. Okay, we can this is one way, and the other way is let us just test it. This is another way they were proposing to us. And can you see there now? Still it's returning this one. Now you can say what you can do here now. Now, based on this, you can say something like p dot. Let me try to print it like this: p dot name. You got it right? Hello here. Can you see it now? Are you following, sir? What I am trying to tell you. The one more advantage is this. This is one of the most beautiful thing in Scala. Many times, let me take a quick use case here now. Suppose this there is something called collection list, something like val list equal to. Instead of usually list is a class. It's a companion class, okay? And usually if it is a class, we create object through new. But here, most of this collections in Scala, we never use this new keyword on them most of the time. You know why? One reason is this companion. We declare that list as that class list as a companion to this companion object, so that the initialization and instantiation everything happens in this apply method of that the companion object of list, and we don't do anything there. As a developer, we don't do anything. We just direct create object for list and we keep adding elements like this. I'm just showing you a practical applicable use case for you. Okay, so and press enter. List is created. Maybe if you want to iterate it, not an issue. So you can apply a for loop. I taught you somewhere in the beginning of this session. You can apply a for loop and then you can iterate it and you can do some kind of processing on that list actually. Collections are the most, one of the highly important topic in Scala, not just only Scala, anywhere, Java or C Sharp. Now, let me try to print this. Still you get the same list. Maybe I want it element by element, then we can do something like this. What is that? Something like for I something like this, and then the arrow mark point to this, and then list. And what you can do is opening bracer, and you can print this values. Print of I here, and close it, and you got the elements here. But the point here is this is a class, but you are not applying new operator. And how this happened means there is a companion object concept behind this. What object concept behind this? Companion object. Today, one of our learner Vijay, he is in okay, he's from Bank of America. He's heading at least couple of projects under him. He's having couple of accounts. Usually we keep discussing. He's one of my very old student, and we keep discussing sometimes, And one thing, he's in big data. I am in big data. We don't use much of companion objects but for them, most of their projects have this companion objects. Even that's what he asked me a couple of times in the last 2-3 days. Sir, did you discuss that companion is very important? Now I am trying to talk about this thing is the importance. We just took some time to get into this thing of companion here about this use case, because I am going through the doc because I can just quickly tell few of these applications of companion and close it, but you should know exactly all the scenarios, and anybody will try to extract the scenarios from here only. Any big professor or small professor has to go through the documentation. Got it right? So you understand, right? Did you get this point of companionship now, or do you still have an issue here? So what is that? When you are using companion objects, might be here we are seeing how they are implicitly used in the built-in classes and all that. Most of your collections uses this companion concept, and most of the applications in real time also uses companion concept like this. What it does is it will do an abstraction here. I understand this point. Maybe I'll show you one more time, because it's with a small example how these companion objects are helpful. One thing is, the previous example, we can have access to private members. That is fine. Second thing is we don't need to apply new operator for companion. When you have a companion object, means companion class and object, for this companion classes you don't need to apply new. How that is implemented? Suppose you just take a simple example, don't go for something really big. Okay, you just take some, what do you take as discussed, he just took one variable, nothing more than that. What is that he has done? Just a small variable to test it. So you also just declare an instance variable. All of you know, right, how to declare instance variables. Some var space some a colon int. You just set it to some defaults, okay, 0. Now if you don't want, you can directly you do one thing now, otherwise this is a REPL, right? If you move forward again, we cannot come back. You do one thing, just initialize here itself directly. Don't go for again that kind of thing also. I'll just simplify it very well. Let us just simplify it. I'm directly initializing 10 to this. You know this A is a companion class for me. Now after this, I am creating a companion object. Okay. Now A got created. Then I'm taking companion object A. And the rule here is when you are going with the companion object concept, and if you don't want to instantiate this companion class, we have to override this apply method. Which method? We have to use something called apply here. You can see here. That's what the clear documentation says that here. Okay. What is that? Apply method in the companion objects acts as a factory method. I will clearly explain one more time what is a factory method. I told you it's a design pattern. Okay. This all I know, sir. Everything, most of this stuff is, I think we have come across that in Java itself. But there are few things like, we keep forgetting, or no, that's the point. Now, if you look at this, apply, you have to override and apply in the companion object, not in class. And inside this apply, you should instantiate this thing. Which one? This class. All this happens here itself. You see the beautiness of the concept here, like the architect of this. See this? No, this is actually very wonderful thing. If you are observing carefully, it's a wonderful concept. When you're doing all this, might we can ask, sir, why, if you do all this, what is the advantage? Okay, you understand this. Anyhow, I told you the advantage now. What is that? If you go to the list, here in the almost all built-in collections, you don't apply new. All that instantiation process is done in the companion object itself like this. Where it is done in the companion object like this. The instantiation process, how to initialize, or if any internal variables has to be declared, everything is taken care of. Now, what you are doing here, you are just creating object and passing data, and you are trying to get that data from that. Means in a way, companion objects are very helpful for us in doing the instantiation or setting data implicitly. And all this is abstraction. Can you see that? Can you see any such thing here? No, that is an abstraction. Why? It is already there in the API, the built-in API. You got it right? We are going a little deeper discussion here. Now, in the simple example, what we are doing, I took this companion object. Now, I want to simulate the similar process which are applicable in this built-in classes. So for that, I should take what is that? An apply method. Apply is the standard method people use to do the instantiation inside this. It doesn't have any parameter. No need of any parameter, because I'm directly calling it. I am not passing any data to this. If I should pass data, then definitely what is that? You should pass a variable through this. Parameter passing has to happen through apply. Okay, so colon. What is the return type here? Return type should be the name of the class itself. It might be companion object or companion class. The concept here is, if you declare any method in a class and that method is returning object of that class itself, it's called factory method. What method? Factory method. You got it right? So then return type is that opening braces. What do you do now? Here you create an object. What is that? You can declare it as val, or you can declare it as var. It's up to you, sir. Usually in most of the real-time use cases, people declare objects as val. But now, for a change, I am just taking var only. But I am talking about the standard process in a real time. So you take this like this. Now you say a new A. At this level, it is fine, sir. You don't have an issue. Okay, now you close this and close this. I have closed the apply method. There is no initialization. So that's why I think I missed returning this. We have to return A. That is missed here. Again, what you have to do? So no issues. We can quickly now here define that apply, and then create an object and return that object, because apply should return that object of that class itself. Object of that class means its companion. Who is the companion of object A? Class A. The object of that is the return type of this apply method. When you say return type as A, you should return the object of that class. And if you just return reference means you are returning the object only. Don't think that you are not doing that. Okay, now finally, what do you have to do? No problem, I'll fix it. This will work. This is not an issue for us. A and then A, and finally, what do you have to do now? What Abrasa said, start of declaration. Okay, I understand. You know the issue, right? What I am missing here? See, this assignment is missing. That's why it's giving me left and right. And then now close it. Close now. I closed apply and I close the object. Now can you see this now? Defined object. Tell you about it. The previously defined class A is not a component to object A. Components must be defined together. You wish to do, okay, it's asking me this. See, if we want to do it, it has to be do in a single thing. Then if we have to do in a single file, we have to apply this function at REPL. And then here we can just say simply, it's easy for me also, class A. Okay, I just declare some variable where A colon some int equal to 10. Just to show you, I'm just simplifying the things. And we're done with class, and then class object. Okay, and then opening this, then def apply, and this doesn't have any parameters to initialize in this class. If this class has any parameters to be initialized, then we should pass that through apply method. Got it right? The constructor, suppose if you have any initialization in the constructor here, then the constructor passing the parameter passing to the constructor happen through apply. Keep in mind. Okay, so maybe if you want, we will see one more scenario on that. So here you just try to declare the return type as a and as assignment, and then what do you have to do? Create an object where space some a1 equal to new a, then a1, okay, and then close it, and then close your object, and finally say control D here. Then what happens? It will execute both as one file, and two objects will be created here. Can you see this now? So finally we got two objects created together. Understood now? Yeah, that's fine now. Now where space some a equal to, what I can do here, we can call it in different two ways, right? One is I can create an object. That is one thing directly. Here I don't use any new operator here. Can you see this now? There are two ways. One is a dot apply. Okay, enter. That a object is created. Can you see here now? It is returning that object a. Now on top of that, I can say what I can say, a dot a. I get 10 here. Can you see this now? Don't get confused. Maybe I'll create in a with different references here. So now I am saying x, where x equal to a dot apply. Now what's happening? This is going to call companion object. In that it is calling apply. When you call apply, apply will do the all the instantiation of for class, this companion class A. And if any initialization should be done to this instance variables, even that is done, or if any other things has to happen, that will happen. And finally it will result it will return a well-built object for us. Okay, so with all initializations done, with everything done, that object is returned to us. The advantage is so that we can directly start using that object. So you can do that, and you can say x dot a now. If you got 10 here directly, can you see this now? This is one way. The other way is still you don't need apply. You can avoid new everything. You can just create a constructor calling here, then enter. But in this, if you observe carefully, even though I don't use new, behind this there is something called apply method. Remember this. This is very important point and useful point. Whenever you don't see new operator in most of the codes, and if you directly try to instantiate like this without new operator, behind that there is an apply. In that apply, you do the instantiation. Most of the built-in classes follow this kind of architecture. You got it right? Okay. Do you get my pointer? Somebody is saying something. I corrected it, right? Did I say class object or object A? I'm not sure. What did I use? Okay, not a problem because this is working because we have defined in the previous use case. I'll do one thing. Somebody is correcting me. It might be correct also. Sorry, I used class A. Na? What did I use? Class A, correct? Suresh, is that what you are trying to tell me? Okay, no issues, sir. Give me a quick minute. Class A, then I'll just again declare it var space A colon int equal to. Sorry, I missed the track there. Might be in the flow. I would have declared class object. It should be object A. Thanks, Suresh, for for pointing out the error in the right time. You can apply. Then what? A return type should be class of itself, and then assignment, and then initialize it. Var space some. Even this, when you put class A, also it will work, sir. The concept of factory objects will work in that way. You don't need to worry about that thing. Var space some A equal to new A, then A, that is a return type, and then close the apply method, close the this companion object. Might be in the flow I would have declared class A. Sorry, you should excuse me for that. Thanks for correcting me, Suresh. And then just press Control D. This time this is perfect scenario. Now what do you do? How do you do? Var space sum x equal to A dot apply. That is one scenario. On top of that, you can say x dot A. Then you get same result. That doesn't change, but the way we have created is not it's not a right way. So now this is the proper approach of doing things. And the other one is we don't need to apply. Then we can directly create an object like this without new. And then on top of that, you can say x dot A. Then you get still 10 here because A is present in that class A there. Then, but the point I am trying to tell here is whenever you see something like this, the instantiation, the object like this, if you don't see new operator behind this class, in that usually this kind of syntaxes uses companion object concept. That companion object you can see apply here. Inside that this instantiation happens, and all this becomes an abstraction. For us, we get direct object, so we can do it all these things directly without going for all this kind of boilerplate code usually. But this is good. But for us, suppose you take a collection, some vals, var space, some list equal to, we can say I don't need to go for creating objects, and we are passing parameters. When you are passing parameters, these parameters should be set to some variables inside this list class. We are not doing all that. See how simple it is for me. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of direct usage now. Okay, now I can simply iterate it, and I can do whatever I want. Suppose I just need some particular data, something like this 3. I get that value here and do something on that. Can you see this now? But here, if you see, this is an object. Behind this, what is there for us? A companion object concept. Is that clear for all of you now? That's how this companion concept is used. I know. Is it clear now? That is another important. So second thing is that, sir, you can test it once, please. Did you tested it? This scenario, you can open REPL, and in that REPL, you can try this. So this is the concept. I think everything got cleared up. You can try it, sir. Can you see this now? Or did I copy the code here? 1 minute. You can test it yourself once, sir. This scenario, sir. What do you do now? Take a class like this, not class, just a minute. Class A, you can test it directly. You can say var some a colon int equal to something. You can do it, sir. You don't have any doubt. Before that, in the REPL, what you have to do? Just say colon paste. Then declare that class, and then what is that? Go for the object A. Then declare that apply function def apply. Then return type should be a, and assignment should be there. Then create an object var a equal to new a, and then return that a, then close it, close your class. This is the code. Test it, sir. You have to apply this this colon paste in the REPL. This REPL in sense this Scala prompts or nothing more than that. Okay, try it yourself. Then you know right after that how to test it. Here this apply is called as what? It's called apply is that factory method. And what is the factory method, sir? Factory method is a method which returns the object of containing class itself. What is containing class? It might be the class A here. Okay, containing means it is in the same thing. As their components, we can assume that containing in sense this class here. So, what is a factory method? Factory method is a method which returns object of containing class. Okay. These are very much useful, you know, in designing. Apply functions are very much useful in designing. What is that? This kind of companion objects. Most of the built-in classes depends on companion object. Okay. Now do you test it something like val some x equal to okay, something like a dot apply. That is one case. The second case is instead of apply also you can directly say something like okay, maybe you can call that value like the a saying that a x dot a in the REPL. The other scenario is directly creating an object here and still you can say x dot a. You can explicitly call apply or implicitly call this. Here apply is called implicitly, here apply is called explicitly. There is nothing much different. Don't put parentheses here, sir, not required. So you can test this code now, the whole code. Okay, you got all this right? And here maybe we can correct this definition. Factory method is a method which returns the object of companion class. That will be more appropriate here instead of containing. No, let us make it as a companion class. Okay, so you can try like this. Clear now? So if anybody is completed, just ping me, sir. Just confirm me. What do you have to do? Just open your Scala REPL and then just test this code, sir. Because this is easy to test in REPL more than your Eclipse. Good, thank you. Is this concept clear? It's a little deeper. There's so many things involved here. This simple, simple point has so much of information. What is that? What it has? Creating new instance without the new keyword. The point is so simple. This is easy. Most of the information we get from this is the only information we get. But interpreting this needs better understanding of programming languages when you are interpreting it. So if with something what minimum knowledge we have, we cannot understand this. It's a little difficult. I don't say it's impossible, but the point is if you have the required basics, fundamentals, then it's easy. So most of the stuff, because when they say this applies a factory method, first thing is what is that factory method? The question comes that, and they are talking about built-in collections here, and they are saying this uses companion concept internally. The question is like how they use it. If you want to understand this, no, that's how the documents are. With few lines of code, they use of so much of information. What is that? But if we need to call method from companion class, can you do that? Yes, you can do that. That instantiation part, all that only just happens. Even in list, there are so many methods. We'll talk about it. There will be methods. There will be other things. That is all possible, Vinod. Okay. Even you can add methods if you want. I'll show that as well. We have seen, right? Applying M1 there. Okay. So that's the point here, and you got clarity about things right here. So there are so many things involved here, sir. Okay, these terminologies, they are wonderful terminology like sugar coated, sugar baked, all that are really wonderful. Okay, so finally the point is what are different concepts involved here is when you talk about companion things, it has a lot of things like the factory method concept is there, and then how that factory method is, it's doing some backtracking operation there. Got it right? It is doing, and all this is an abstraction. If you look at this level, an object level, suppose you take this list, you don't understand, you don't imagine. Most of the Scala developers don't know that there is a companion object. In that companion object, there is an apply. That apply is doing all that. People don't have that kind of analysis. Got it right? So that is the point. And these are very important. This is one of the very important concept in real-time use cases. Of course, our projects is more of OOP. But I told you right, when I'm discussing with Vijay, one of my student, he's not there today. He might be busy with the call. So that guy is constantly, pushing me like, sir, when do you come to the companion concept? This is what it is. Okay? Very, very interesting thing. There are few more things. Whenever you want more information, you don't need to search all the websites or YouTube channels. Come and look here. But that one point has so much of information. You should be having that kind of understanding towards language, then you can understand what they were writing. You got it right? So that's it, sir. Next one. When I teach the same thing for freshers, they don't understand the depth of the concept. They might think we are going somewhere else, but only a working people understand how important these things are. Got it right? I'm happy that you guys know that importance. And also one more important, this we'll see tomorrow, sir. I don't want to burden you in one day. And these are all things you need to know about companion. Got it right? And these are the key points to remember. When you come to this point, by the time everything we apply practically and see it. Maybe if you want, you have time at home, you can also practice these things at home once. And also we will just introduce all this. You might, these examples are a little deeper, but interesting examples. Okay, we'll see them tomorrow.
Manohar, Bharat here. Can you please ping the link in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, I can ping this in the group itself. Fine, right?
Not here in the WhatsApp group. Will be a better one.
Oh, you want to be in the? Yeah, sure, definitely we do that. Okay.
As once this session ended, we're losing this data, na? So if WhatsApp group means we'll be having it permanently.
Okay, I understand. got it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
I will just do it immediately.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
What are the points we have? We have just discussed two important points about companion object. One is that, what is that first one? having access to private members with each other. That is one thing. Second thing is no need of new object. We can instantiate without no need of new keyword. We can create without that. And there are few more important things. We see them in the next tomorrow's session. Okay. They seems to be really interesting. We'll talk about it. Most of you, it will be little, for most of you, it is confusing. So we will slowly understand point by point. So that is better for us. Got it right? So any more questions? Anyhow, as Bharat requested, I will post it in the our chat box now. Okay, not chat box, sorry, in the WhatsApp group. Okay, guys, we'll meet again tomorrow. Again, I have a session at 11 o'clock. So I thought, so okay, we'll meet tomorrow. Bye.